Another piece of research I wanted to highlight that came out in Q1 from Quantica, which is another trend firm, and I thought they had some really fascinating research on this
Yeah.
idea of like how many markets do you need to trade? Are you a better trend follower if you're doing 15 versus 25 versus 50 versus 100 markets? Now, the way they did this was they had very generic trend following rules and much more of the quantitative style of trend following, much less of the Mulvaney. By the way, I certainly didn't mean to be dismissive of Mulvaney. Talk about absolute iron iron stomach to sit through that risk. I couldn't do it. But so what they did is they said, let me come up with these generic trend following rules and then let me, run those same rules using a 15 market approach, a 25 market approach, a 50, a 100. And how does the performance compare in different years? And the lens with which they looked at that performance through was based upon what they called the number of independent bets driving the P&L. So let me give a concrete example of what that means in 2022, we saw that short bonds and long the dollar were both very profitable trades. The US dollar were very profitable trades in trend following, but they were pretty much perfectly correlated trades, kind of two sides of the same coin. So what they use the statistical technique to say, well, they were different markets, but it was actually just one trade being expressed two different ways. We're going to call that one risk factor. And so they use this statistical technique to do it. If you read their Q1 paper, they talk about how they do it. And what they found is really interesting, which was in the years that are driven by just a few strong independent risk factors, one, those tend to be the years of the highest return of trend followers. So years like 2022, where there are very strong trends. And two, if you're trading just 10, 15 markets, you likely captured it and captured it well because the more of your risk budget ends up going to those trends versus if you're trading 100 markets and 90 of the markets that you're trading are unrelated to that short bond or long dollar trade, you're eating up your risk budget with stuff that's not necessarily the meatiest trade of the year. Where all those extra markets seemed to matter more was in the year where there were no clear trends and you weren't getting chopped up in just a few trends that weren't working. You had more of your risk budget diversified across more stuff and were likely to find things that offset those, you know, the P&L.